Yeah, it works for me.
Okay. So, welcome everybody. Uh, Thanks for joining us for this. What is Elastic, or what the heck is Elastic? We got Justin here. He's going to give us a rundown of what the heck Elastic is. He's a principal solution architect with Elastic, and is a seasoned information technology professional with over 25 years of experience. So, with that, I'll go ahead and toss it over to you.
All right, perfect. Go ahead and share out my screen. So hopefully you can see it now.
Yep.
Perfect. So, like you said, I've been in IT for over 25 years. Most of it has been securing critical infrastructure and doing digital forensics and investigation. So, when I came over to Elastic, the question I got from most people, including those in IT, was, "What the heck is Elastic?" Right? So, most people, I think, in IT at least, think of it as like, hey, it's that place where I can store a whole bunch of stuff, big data, and come back in and search it a little bit later. And I can use it for, basically that's it, right? Go in, store data, pull it out later. If you talk to somebody on the street, it's more like, yeah, I think a couple of people said, you mean you work for a company that, keeps your socks up or something like that? It went all over the place on what people thought it was. So started thinking about this and like, what's the best way to really explain it? And I started kind of going through the use cases that we saw. And that's really why I have this, what the heck is Elastic, is because this is a question I faced all the time. But as you start looking at the use cases, I think most people don't realize that they actually interact with systems that are powered by Elastic every single day. So it could be, you're looking for your favorite podcast, or you're driving to work and the manufacturer of your car is collecting the telemetry on your car to figure out when it needs maintenance or when to alert you to come into the shop. It could be that you're placing a cell phone call and they're looking at the network and monitoring it to kind of make sure that you have the best quality of call possible. It could be your financing, or you're going out and, hey, I want to schedule a day off work, or I want to change my direct deposit, or I'm going out and booking vacation hours, doing my expense report, right? I even finding a movie, right, to watch. And the one that's not on here is maybe somebody that, is, you're going to a dating site and you're trying to find somebody local to you that match up with your interest, and you're doing that geolocation and matching you to somebody. Those all are things that are powered by Elastic, but honestly, that really doesn't help you decide what Elastic is, because those are all really very different use cases. So the goal here today is at least to kind of walk you through and give you a high level of what Elastic is, what the platform is, what other solutions we're building on top of those to kind of help get faster time to value, and then kind of the showing an example of each one of those, what it looks like, just at a high level. There's no way I could cover everything with Elastic. It would take a lot longer than time we have today, because it covers everything. It's kind of a build your own, and that's kind of the last thing that we're going to cover is, hey, here's just a platform, and here's some things that you can build off of it, and kind of give you some examples of that. So starting with the platform itself, this is really the heart of Elastic, and it's broken in really into three different areas. And the idea is, the first one is going to be ingest data, right? We need to get data in to be able to do anything with it. So we have a lot of different connectors native to bring in data. And then once you get data in, right, you're getting it into a big data set. You want to be able to normalize it. You want to transform it into things that you can use. So if I'm looking across, just use security as an example. If I'm bringing in logs from, we'll say, Checkpoint, and I'm bringing in logs from Cisco, and I'm bringing in logs from Microsoft, I don't want to be able to have to write a query that goes out and searches all of those separately. I want to be able to query them by a common schema, or the Elastic Common Schema, which allows you to then go in and just say, hey, I'm looking for source.ip versus source underscore IP versus s underscore IP, whatever the other ones are. It makes it easier to just go out and search it. So it allows you to ingest data, to normalize it to a common schema, and then enrich that data as you go along. So if I have maybe an HR system that tracks things like when people are put on notice or they're put on a performance plan, when I see them log in at a strange time of day, I'll be able to show that as, hey, this login, this user ID, I can enrich it with that information from HR, so that I have that data set there to give you more context to what you're doing. Those are just some examples of it. And then the idea of bringing the data in, securing it, and then keeping it for long term, right? So some policies around managing the data. So you have your normal tiers that you would expect, hot, warm, cold, those kinds of things that you can kind of flow through. And we even have a frozen, but our frozen's a little bit different. It's not frozen as in, hey, this is something I have to thaw out to use or I have to rehydrate to use. It's more of it's frozen in that point in time, right? So you can't change the data, but you can definitely go out there and search it, and it's optimized for long-term storage on blobs. And that's kind of the first part of the Elastic platform. The second is really, I get all this data in, what do I do with it? So we give you the ability to search the data, which is classic BM25 keyword searches, right? Also vector database searching. And I think the best example of that, if you don't know what a vector database is really kind of as a use case is what I saw this weekend. There was a commercial where a guy's doing a home renovation project and he runs out of something, but he doesn't really know what that something's called. So he pulls out an app, takes a picture of it. The company immediately identifies what it is and then allows them to order more, right? So it's really vector searching where we can take those things like pictures, figure out things that look similar to them, and be able to find that in the database. And this is what allows you to, not only search it, there's a lot of data that you have to search. So we can automatically build correlations, your machine learning on top of that, so you can identify risky things so you don't have to do those by hand. And basically just give you the ability to manipulate the data and be able to get value out of it. And then the final phase of this really, and I'm spending a lot of time on this because it is the core that we'll kind of go for a couple times, is going to be the ability to take that and visualize that data so that I can build visualizations, I can build dashboards, I have some automation working around it, right? But it's really the visual representation of that data and what I can do there. And in the spirit of, classic meetup, Elastic is open source. We have commercial, but we also have community. So a lot of these features that we're going to talk about are going to be community features that are free to use and play around with. So with just supporting this as being, hey, this is the platform, we can bring in logs from either on-prem or cloud. It can be databases, legacy systems, applications, or SaaS, right? Basically, you're able to pull anything in that you want to do analytics on and be able to get those in and run those with a native integration. And the whole idea of bringing data in and manipulating it and doing your data analytics on it is in the end, you'll be able to come to some business improvement, right? Where you can either reduce risk if you're talking about security or improve revenue if you're talking about maybe a retail shop, e-retail shop, right? You'll be able to pull that in and be able to actually drive outcomes there. And when you talk about bringing data in, it's kind of an example of the platform and ingesting data. If you've messed with Elastic in the past, a lot of people still look at Elastic this way. And honestly, I have a lot of customers that still use Elastic this way. But basically bringing in a bunch of different data shippers and a bunch of different data. So if I want to bring in files, flat files, I'm looking at file beats, or I'm bringing in metrics. People are using metric beats. I want to bring in Windows logs. It's a Windows a WinLog beat. If I want to, go ahead and do APM, I've got a different agent. These are all kind of agents that are installed on the machine, and then they're really managed locally. And that's really, it works for a lot of people, but at the same time, it's kind of an older way to do things with Elastic. What we've kind of moved towards and made it a lot easier to ingest data is really going to be the Elastic agent. And the Elastic agent is just a single agent you install on a machine, and then you can add integrations to it. And that allows you to centrally manage everything. So you can centrally manage any configuration you want and deploy this out to multiple machines and be able to monitor it in a centralized fashion. And I like to think of this, as stupid as it sounds, as like Batman's utility belt, that I install this one agent, and then as I throw out integrations at it, it's kind of the wonderful little toys that you get in your belt that you can then throw out when the bad guys come, or different features that you want, featuring different use cases that you want to do. You have those different features available to you. So I definitely want to throw in a couple demos on each thing. So this is just going to be how you go in and you set up an agent. It is this easy to get logs into Elastic, where I just go out to Fleet. I want to create a policy so I can centrally manage a bunch of machines under the same policy. So all I really have to do is go out, hit create policy, type in my policy name, and then hit save, right? And that's as easy as it is to set up a policy. And then if I want to go in and actually add an agent to this, it's just as simple as going out to the agent, hitting add, or going to the policy, hitting add agent. It's going to pop up with a wizard. It tells me, hey, this is my enrollment token, so I make sure I get it on this policy when I install it. Hey, I want to do this. And the second step is let's make sure this is in Fleet so I can centrally manage it. And the third is basically, hey, I want to install this on a machine. So what's the command I need to run? So we pre-populate the whole enrollment token and everything for you. You just choose the OS that you're looking for. It's going to give you the full command. All you have to do is copy it and paste it in. And what this will do is automatically go out and download the agent and then install it. Probably not the way that I would deploy to 1,000 machines or 2,000 machines, but definitely a way to go in and get the command so you don't have to figure out what it is, and then deploy it through another method. And I'm not going to make you wait through the entire download. This takes about a minute or two to do the download, get the install going, and kind of start pulling the data over. But that's as simple as it is to start pulling those metrics off that we chose in the policy. We'll come back to that here in a few minutes and kind of show you what it looks like when we're doing integrations. But kind of this is the platform that we're talking about, right? We can ingest data, we can secure it. It's scalable for as much data as you want to pull in. It's horizontally scalable, so you can add literally as much data and as long as the retention as you want. You're going to have the AI and ML. You're going to be able to search anything you want, build visualizations, and build a workflow. And what this does is it gives us a platform that we can then build our other solutions on. So one of them we'll probably talk about here is, since we have, Gen AI, right? It's a big thing right now. Everybody wants Gen AI. Well, we have generative AI inside of Elasticsearch, which that allows us then to put that inside of our products as well. You can do your own build on that we'll kind of look at here in a little bit, but we also have just released a AI assistant for observability and for security that are built on top of that, right? So you can ask it questions about our security, and now you're able to leverage everything that's in that platform by using those solutions, right? So the solutions are built to kind of show you the data in a way that would matter for somebody that's looking at observability, and the same thing for somebody that's looking at security. They can curate the data and see it in a particular view that helps them fulfill their job rather than just a big data set, right? So we hop over and look at observability, right? We fundamentally, since we are a search company, we see observability as a data problem. So you've got all this data and all these metrics and all these signals coming in, like how do you make sense of them? And that's where we see Elastic coming in and be able to take those, right? And be able to show you the metrics, the logs, the traces, real-time user monitoring, put all those in a central place and allow you to be able to dive into them and really gain insight and be able to look at things pretty quickly and see what's going on. And that fits on top of our stack just like this, right? So the only thing that really changes is the data coming in. It's all still going through the platform, but now you're bringing in logs, metrics. You can even put in business KPIs, be able to show that data as well. So whatever you want to monitor, synthetic transactions, anything that you want to bring in like that, you now can send it through Elastic, do all the manipulation there, and it's then going to give you the business returns of like, hey, I've got a faster time to improvement. Mean time to remediation is much quicker. We also have a new feature that just went GA, which is going to be continuous profiling. It's been in beta for a while. Basically what it does, at a kernel level, it monitors everything being processed and can tell you how much a specific call is costing you in your code. It can tell you on the actual cost of the cloud compute as well as the carbon footprint it has. So you can easily go in, run this, especially in a dev environment when you're running through things, see how efficient your code is. You'll actually be able to see it visually, how efficient it is, and then go in and be able to make tweaks and modifications to that. So let's go ahead and jump over and just show you a little bit of what observability does here, and I have a little website running here that's being monitored by Elastic APM. And all I'm going to do is come in here and add a couple things to my cart. You see the first one went pretty fast, and then the second one takes a little bit longer, right? So the second one, you're actually getting a pinwheel that's running. I'm telling you things are a little bit slow, and I'll kind of do it a few more times, just kind of see that it's intermittent. Well, not very intermittent, it happened twice in a row. Usually it's intermittent. We'll run it a few more times to kind of show you what it's doing, but it's not every time this is coming up. And this is something extremely hard to troubleshoot if you're an SRE kind of looking at it. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But what we can do, since we're monitoring this with Elastic, is we can jump over into Elastic APM, and it would help if I had run this a little bit longer. I apologize. I did not have a baseline. I just built this yesterday. So it didn't have a good baseline to point out when anomalies happen. If I had, you would see there's a little anomalous right here on this cart service. It's going to show you that it's slowing down and there's something wrong here. So we'll just go ahead and jump into it because we know our cart service, that's where our add to cart is. So if we come over here, we can see some basic metrics and how long things are taking. If I jump in and look at the service details, I'm going to get a nice little all the metrics I really need around the service details that show me, hey, things are working, right? Everything looks like it's fine. Latency is pretty average, but this is overall everything and how it's happening. But if I want to go in and dive into my add to cart transaction, I can click on this, drill down, and now I see a little bit different story where everything looks on an average, looks okay, not a big problem, but down here I can see my latency distribution. And what that's going to really show me is how long it's taking to add things to cart. And it's pretty easy to see here that, you know, a lot of things are pretty quick, and then a few things are taking an exceptionally long time, right? These are in the milliseconds, and then you've got things over here taking up to, what, 11 seconds. So you can see clearly something is happening that's making these take a little bit longer. And rather than you having to go in and dive in and look at every single one of these, we have some machine learning here that can just do latency correlations. So if we highlight the latency correlations, what it's going to do is take everything that's in this set of normal and everything in this set that's a little bit slower, and it's going to tell us the difference between those two, right? It's all it's going to do. And it's going to do it so that I don't have to drill in and manually do it myself. And the first thing it's going to tell me is, you know, this has an anomaly factor of 97, and that's going to be this 1.7 here, right? So it's going to tell me the version is 1.7. So I can immediately see that everything that's slow is much faster. Everything that's much faster is running 1.6. So I can see this is 1.7. 1.6 is 67% of the traffic. So that can help me pretty easily. If I want to validate that, I can just click on the filter right there. It's going to add the filter in, and now it's going to show me pretty clearly. I excluded it, and this is everything that is not 1.7, and it's fast, right? So the idea is that we're able to take this data in and then make it easier for somebody doing that particular job. So this case, it's application performance monitoring. You can pretty quickly see, you know, like, hey, I've got something going on with that 1.7 version. Maybe I need to reach out to somebody and see what changes happened in there. Obviously, that's a quick demo. There's way more with APM. I just want to kind of give you a small taste to see if you want to go play around with it. It's definitely powerful.
Hey, Justin, I popped a
Yep.
question in the window, but can Elastic ingest data from OTel for APM?
Absolutely. Actually, the Elastic Common Schema was donated to OTel.
Okay.
So in the next, I think it is over the next 12 months, they're merging the two. So that OTel will be using Elastic Common Schema now. Well, it's going to be called OTel, but yes, absolutely.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. So basically, just an overview, right? We'll be able to pull everything in, leverage all the performance enhancements, lower your mean time remediation, and be able to bring in different signal types that you can get and show that with you alongside with your logs and everything correlated together. And then I just want to go ahead and include some native integrations we have that allow you to pull in some data fairly easily. And we'll kind of show a little bit how that looks in the UI here in a little bit. But basically, these are all native integrations, easy to pull over, easy to throw into Elastic, easy to start making use of them, right? And turn them into actionable data. All right, now this is the part that I'm going to try not to get too excited about and go too fast. But security, we see it as, a data problem as well, right? We've got this big data analytics engine. We want to be able to process data and find stuff for you. And that's really what we're doing with our Elastic Security. And so, there's a lot of SIMs, if you guys work in them, a lot that basically take third-party tools and take third-party logs in and do some analytics on them, tell you, hey, this is bad, but they really don't take action. It reminds me of the commercial a few years ago, probably more than a few years ago now, where somebody's robbing the bank and they go to the cop or the guard at the door and he's like, hey, why aren't you doing anything? He's like, no, I'm here in detection only, right? I'm here just to say there's a robbery. I'm not here to actually do anything. Well, we've taken a little bit different approach. And so not only do we have integrations that are going to create logs for endpoints, going to create them in the cloud, we're going to pull those in, take those with all your other logs that you have, do your correlations there, have the SIM rules run against all of them, and then we can take action. So our endpoint agent allows you to be quarantined or kill processes, things like that you can kind of actually run through them. And so it just doesn't really stop there because we have a really robust TDIR, which is threat detection incident response. So a whole process built around responding and building your IR timelines as you go. So that's Elastic Security. It's really big. It includes an endpoint agent. You could run it as your EDR. You could run it as a system to query, and I'll kind of show that here in a few minutes of actually querying your environment to find out real-time data so you can interrogate it live and find out information about all your systems at once. So kind of the same thing. We're using that platform, but we're using it for our SIM, our endpoint, and our cloud. And really the only thing that changes on top of this is going to be the UI you're looking at and the types of data you're pulling in. So you're still pulling in data. You're going to pull in all your cloud analytics. You're going to get your network, your host, your users, so your firewalls, your IDS, everything you have. If you have third-party EDRs, we pull that in as well and we'll be able to do it. You just have the option to use ours. And so we'll pull in all that data, and then obviously the whole point is to reduce costs and go ahead and reduce your risk as well in a security environment. So, so I said this was like Batman's utility belt using the Elastic Agent. That's exactly what I have here is like, hey, the Elastic Agent's utility belt. And now I just want to throw in an integration for Defend, which is going to be the EDR piece. And then OS query. So I just kind of wanted to run through what that looks like and what you can really do with those two. So this is how you add an integration. You go back to that policy we had before. You go to our integrations page. There's over 400, oh, not 400. I want to say there's 350 last time I looked of different integrations. You can go in there, type in the integration name, just hit add, and then all you have to do is walk through this process of adding it to the policy, which is basically a wizard. It adds it to the policy, and that's all you really have to do, right? And so anything that's any of the systems that are associated with that policy now have this integration. And it's all because you installed the Elastic Agent, which is the belt there, right? So anything you want to type in here of those integrations, you can add pretty quickly that way. And so one I want to show you that I like that I don't think gets enough love is going to be the OS Query Manager. If you've never used OS Query is open source. I believe it was developed by Facebook. But what it does is allow you to install on a specific machine OS Query, and then you can query it like it's a rational database. So I can look for things like running processes. I can look for things like what's the OS, my patches that are installed, everything. But kind of the downfall to that is that it's all CLI based, which usually isn't a problem for most of us, but it does hinder adoption. So what we have here is just going in. We make it pretty easy with UI. where we install it and you get packs. So instead of just running a one-off question against a machine, which you could definitely do, we allow you to go in and run questions across your entire environment, and you can do it in a pack. So we have, I think, 10 packs that come out of the box with this. This one, we're running a compliance one that has 38 different questions that it's asking. And you can ask it against an OS, against a specific policy, or against a single machine. But I'm basically just interrogating my entire environment saying, hey, tell me everything about these machines based on these 37 or 38 questions. Like, tell me all the mounts, tell me the OS versions, tell me everything. And then I just go ahead and hit submit. And you'll see some of these fail, but the ones that fail are the ones for Linux. These just had two Windows boxes, but you could run it across both, right? It gives you the results at the bottom. But what's really important about this is you can go in and look at it in Lens or whatever you want inside Elastic to visualize it. But when it runs that question, it's really going out, collecting all that data, and then dumping it back into Elastic. So I can manipulate the data any way I want in Elastic after I run this, right? It's collected all the data, it's thrown it in, I have it there. I could use it to power dashboards. So if I was looking to see how many machines didn't have a certain patch, I could do that and build a dashboard around it, schedule this thing to run every hour or run every 5 hours. From my point of view, that may sound like overkill, but when you're in an incident or you're in a SOC and you're working on remediating something, and to run those with traditional reports, you're waiting a day to get that data back. And when you have a call every couple hours from an executive asking for an update, you don't really have time to wait and say, hey, run this vulnerability scan or run this across our environment and tell me where I don't have this patch, right? This is stuff that can run. You can put it on a schedule. It's going to give you the answer right away, and you can power a dashboard by it and go remediate as you need to. So that's kind of an example of using OS Query Manager just to interrogate your machine or your entire environment and pull data back. This is kind of looking at using Elastic Defend, and basically what it does is give you the ability to run the response console. And response console allows you to take actions on a machine, especially while you're investigating it. In this case, we're just going to go out and get a file off of a machine, so I don't have to worry about using in-case or using something that may compromise my credentials. If I'm going out to a machine I think's infected to grab a file from it, I can just take the file right out of the alert, copy and paste it, and then go out there and make this call. This is great, especially if you have people at home using Elastic Cloud. You can go out and grab it off their home machine and not have to worry about any network or path issues. And when it gives it back to you, it is XORing that file, password protecting it, so you don't have to worry about infecting it unless you figure out how to undo that, which isn't hard, but it requires extra steps for you to infect your own machine. But you're able to take that and then go do any analytics on it, put it in the sandbox you want pretty easily like that. And so there's other things you can do with it other than just getting the file. You can go in and you can kill processes, you can quarantine the machine. Just gives you actions you can take on the local machine without having to jump out and touch it in another way. So same thing, because you're using all the AI, machine learning, everything across this, right? You can still build those visualizations based on these integrations and the data that you're bringing in. And definitely for security, the ML piece of the platform helps out a lot when you're looking for anomaly detection, basically user behavioral and entity analytics, where I'm saying, hey, this person logged in at a strange time of day for them, or they connected to a drive that they've never connected to before, or they've run a process they've never run before. All that part of Elastic Security is being powered by the underlying Elastic platform. And then again, just wanted to show you some integrations that are out of the box, native integrations to pull data over pretty easily straight into Elastic, so you start getting value from it right away without having to do a bunch of agents or anything like that. It's pretty easy to kind of pull this over. And again, I'll show you a screenshot here in a little bit that does that for you, or at least shows you. All right, and then hopefully the search is fundamental fundamentally a data problem because we are a search company. So we're going to focus on search definitely, and how we're able to, help you build better searches as well as have it underlie your power, the search power of your environment. So Elasticsearch allows you not only just to access the platform directly and to be able to leverage that information, but we also provide you some tools that make it a little bit easier. So if you want to power your retail site, we provide click analytics and some tuning. So if I want to see what people are really searching for that maybe isn't responding, where maybe they search this and I see 5 people have searched this particular term, and then they've never clicked on anything, or they just kind of abandon it because it's not providing results, we can show you that. A powerful backend that kind of gives you those types of analytics. You can build synonym searches. So if somebody is looking for, they keep typing in jacket and you don't have anything under jacket, but you have plenty of things under coat, right? You can kind of build that thing out and draw that connection to them, as well as allowing you to boost products and things like that. So we're giving you the tools for that. You can definitely use them, use the facets we have built in. You can also go and build your own, right? So we have a couple companies that just power Elastic to go out, pull information from databases that they already have, so various databases, and either put them all in one place that they can search it, or just use Elastic as the layer to power their website. So if they have an application that they need to perform pretty quickly, so either their mobile application or their website, they want to be able to go out and get data for it really quickly and populate it because it's too slow to run to their traditional databases. So if they're going to SQL, it takes too long to actually pull that data back. They'll throw it into Elastic, have Elastic connect to it, pull it in, and then just power the database, right? So just provide the back end to the database, the back end of the website, to be able to show that data and to populate it pretty quickly. And with the whole Gen AI explosion lately, you can see a lot of that coming up where we put in Gen AI and we've come up with our own Elastic Learn Sparser agent. So it makes it a little bit easier to run through some of this stuff. And I'll show you just a couple applications we've kind of built on top of this just to kind of show you. We have a relevancy engine. Basically, this is looking at a workbench, and this is publicly accessible. And I'll actually give you a link in a few minutes, so you can actually grab the files and the GitHub if you want to go out and try this in your environment. But basically, this kind of shows you the difference. If I'm looking for, traditionally somebody would look for a keyword search. If I typed in Matrix and I'm looking at movies, I'd expect to get things, from the Matrix, right? Like this works pretty well. So our Elastic Learn Sparsing Encoder is kind of lets you take that real time natural language and search for it in your traditional data sets. And this is showing you a BM25 as a traditional keyword text, right? So this is a good one, right? It finds that pretty easily because we're using keywords. But if we start looking for things using kind of more of a natural language where I'm looking for maybe movies in space or something like that, where that may not actually be in the title, now you can start to see that the sparse encoder is going to start pulling up things about movies in space, whereas the BM25 is going to, I don't think the Tupac movie was about a movie in space, but you can kind of see how this works, right? So it's a little bit easier to find that data and to take that natural language and kind of give you better results out of the search. And I'll show you this one as well. Is kind of the same concept, but this one is having ChatGPT on the back end. So if we want to go out and do a basic search, you can look for things like this one is powered a little bit differently because the corpus of data we've given it isn't the internet. So most people, when they think of, hey, I'm going to go out and do a generative AI, I'm going to send it somewhere and it's going to go search the internet and give me answers, right? Which could be good answers or could be bad answers, right? Depending on what it is. So what we've done for this one is instead of just giving it the whole internet, we've told the corpus of data is just our Elastic documentation. So when I do a search, it's not going out to the internet and just giving me links to anything and tell me what to do. What it's got here is it's actually going to go through. It's going to show me what my results would be here. It's also going to come over here and show me what I would have if I was looking at BM25. So it's pulling this out and then giving me step-by-step instructions instead of, in Google, you'll get a link that says, hey, go read this, right? And you'll have to go read it and then figure out what you want. You can write this search that goes out and pulls all that information, takes it, and then sends it to the ChatGPT to turn it into a readable format that makes it easier to look at, right? So instead of it telling you just, hey, go read this, it tells you step by step how to walk through it and how to be able to go in and do the action you want without having to go in and read the document itself, right? It just gives you what you need. Same thing here. If I'm looking for stupid stuff like, hey, the corpus of data we've given it is going to be the Elastic data set. And so at this case, if it's going out and you tell it how to build a boat, it should come back and say that, I don't have information on that, right? It's not going to hallucinate. It's going to tell you, I don't have information on that just because that's not an Elastic documentation. We didn't give it Elastic documentation on how to build a boat, right? So it's going to tell us this page doesn't provide the answer, and it's going to tell us that, that's out of scope for what I can do. So that's really, kind of tying it back in and allowing you to the same platform, right? You can still leverage all the machine learning, artificial intelligence, the search, the visualizations, everything, but you can build your own application on top of it. And honestly, we have a lot of customers that use all three of these. I think the most that people actually deal with from a commercial sense is people building things and applications and websites on top of Elastic with their own desire and their own kind of twist on it on what they actually want to do. So again, just want to show another one of data sets that you can pull in pretty quickly. I didn't talk much about workplace search, but workplace search actually provides you a UI, gives you some connectors. So if I want to go in and look at SharePoint or Confluence or something, they're basic just connectors I have to run, and it makes all that information searchable so I can run through it and then provide that to fellow employees, right? So they could go out and look for documentation just using the search. So it takes all that, makes it searchable, so you don't have to jump around to a bunch of different places. And then you can deploy Elastic either, self-managed in your own cloud. You can deploy it in our cloud, but our cloud actually allows you to choose Azure. So if I want to go in and, deploy an Elastic cloud, it's going to say, hey, where do you want to deploy it? And you can deploy it into Azure where it's our Azure for you to do that. And then just kind of showing you when you do that, it fits right into your normal ecosystem, all the tools you're used to using, right? It'll show up there, pretty easy to go in and manage it from that aspect. And the same thing with adding logs to it at that point. All you have to do is click a few check boxes, choose the destination where you want it to go, and the logs will automatically start flowing over there. And so if you're getting a lot of requests about generative AI, or you're looking at vector searching or machine learning, you're doing it from a search point of view, we have, including the two that I just showed you, we have all this information up at elastic.co/search-labs, where it's some blogs that go in that kind of talk about it, tell you how to build it. We even include in the examples GitHub sites that allow you to go out and actually create this yourself, that walk you through it. So if you want to do it for a hackathon or something, definitely a way to go in and show value pretty quickly and kind of play around with it. But speaking of hackathons, what I would probably really do is plug Dane for this one. So October 5th, we're going to have a meetup in Kansas City, and it is going to be downtown at Keystone. And basically, what we're going to walk through is building an application, a search application that allows you to ingest videos. So if you have internal videos, maybe we'll say, if you have, I'll say podcasts, you have podcasts or YouTube videos or internal training videos that you think has good data in it, but nobody actually wants to sit down and watch the entire video, right? Somebody will like, hey, how do I do this? Oh, go watch this video. And it's an hour-long video. And then you're relying on people to kind of tag it correctly and maybe break it into chapters. In this case, we will show you how to take that video, ingest it into Elastic, and then do the text or the speech to text voice recognition, just allow you to then build the application where you can go in and search and find that information. So it'll automatically allow you to go in and search it either by a user. Obviously, you'll have to specify who the speaker is. It'll do a voice recognition, but you have to choose who it is. But it's kind of the whole process of building this out. It's fairly simple. It's fairly quick using large language models that are actually embedded into Elastic, so you're not reaching out anywhere, incurring any costs there, other than the initial ingestion of the sources. But if you want to pay attention to this, this would be a very good one for going in and looking and running a process, right? So I say looking, but developing something that you could then really quickly turn around and put in your environment. So I would say that'd be perfect for a hackathon, but that's just me. Then a couple other things that came out kind of after I kind of started putting this together, and really it's going to be the observability assistant. I talked about, Gen AI, and this goes back in. This is powered by your Azure AI in here. You connect it back, and basically what it does is allow you to interact with alerts. So you get an alert, you can say, hey, tell me what this is. It'll break it down based on that information that it already has. Even tells you how to resolve things, right? So it'll tell you, hey, I see this. This is what that means. You can interact with it and ask it questions. What does that mean in my environment? Has this happened before? Has this happened on this date? And it will go out and translate that back to you and give it to you in machine, or in not machine readable, but human readable, something you can actually speak to, and more like a conversation. But we've got the same thing for the security side. So if you don't understand an alert, it can break it down, summarize it for you. It can change queries. It can help you write a query, right? It's all filled with our data, our documentation to help you write that. So that was just a couple things I wanted to add there at the end. But honestly, other than your questions, that's all I really have there.
How's Elastic charge?
So it's resource based. So it's not based on ingestion. It's just based on the amount of resources you're going to use. So if you're using it in the cloud, it's going to be based on the architecture to support whatever you're doing, right? So we would help you build out what we think would be the architecture to support what you're doing, and then be able to tell you what that would be. But definitely, if you're doing it in the cloud, you have the choice to deploy whatever hardware you want. We make recommendations. You can choose to do it on cheaper, less powerful hardware, and possibly suffer slower performance, but that'd be your choice.
Okay.
Right? Anything else?
I don't think I have any questions. I'll be sure. Is that hackathon it looked like it was in person. Are you guys doing a virtual or hybrid option as well, or is it just strictly in person?
That is a good question. Right now it's in person, but we could definitely, if we can figure out how to get some camera set up, or I guess we could just do it with a laptop. We could do it. We could set it up to do virtual as well.
Yeah, I was just curious that, or if you had a way, or if it was even like pre-published that somebody could like work on it, the same content, but like self-paced or something like that.
Yeah, we actually are going to follow a blog that we have already,
Okay.
a blog that details this. We've just done it a few times and tweaked it a little bit, but yeah, we can definitely put that out there.
Yeah, if you guys want to send me that, I can send out the link and send out the blog. So if people want, self-paced, they can do that. If they want to walk through it, we can do that as well.
Yeah, it's perfect. Definitely. I appreciate the time.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming and talking to us on Elastic. I think I went from what the heck is it to now I know what it is. So I'll try to touch it some so I can be on the next phase up on our question and answering, or I guess it'd be 2, but I appreciate your guys' time and chatting with the group.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And you
Cool.
can do a 14-day free trial out there, so you can play around with it if you guys actually want to touch it and play around with it from the website. So
Awesome.
Cool.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.